All right, now so we're gonna go over the exercise that we're gonna do for the demonstration and what you guys are gonna do for the first exercise. So you're gonna receive a piece just like this, the one that we just got cut from the horizontal bend saw. And then we're gonna do a couple of operations or 3 operations. We're gonna actually face one side. We're gonna face both sides here as we talked in class, and we're gonna adjust the dimension. And we're gonna create this groove right there, okay? All right, so the first thing is actually securing the stock, right? So I'm gonna have this piece here. Some of the things that we're gonna talk about, I talk about in those like videos that I have some stuff covering before this demonstration. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna select whatever is my proper parallel plates. So you don't have to select the one that I selected, but you have to select some parallel plates, some. I'm taking it, put it back into the. So I have to make sure that the parallel plates are actually sitting in the vise, and there's nothing in between the vise and the parallel plates, right? I can use a brush too to clean, but like overall, we want to make sure that it's actually clean under that. Otherwise, your piece, even though you're gonna sit it like that, it's actually gonna be sitting like a crooked up a little bit, right? So right now, it's actually gonna matter the placement because we're gonna try to save time. So I'm gonna place this, so I'm gonna have the sides that I'm gonna work on sticking out, and I'm gonna work on the top. So I'm gonna face first, but if I put it like this and I stick out to the side, then I can only replace my tool and I can go already and do the side milling without actually having to move my block, right? So I'm gonna lock it. I'm gonna push it down as I lock it. All right, now I can check if my parallel plates are loose. So I'm gonna go up and down on my parallel plates. They're a little loose. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my rubber mallet. Let me move my piece this way a little bit. And go. You're gonna see my parallel plates can move up and down. What happens if my parallel plates can move up and down? If it can move up and down, that means that there is a gap between my piece and the parallel plates. So then most likely my piece is like this. Or it's not even sitting in the parallel plates, right? So I wanna make sure it's actually going all the way down. So now I can install my tool here. So we're gonna use the flywheel. So this is called a flywheel or a facing tool. We can just run into the quill like that, and we're gonna go over the head here and reach for the drawbar. I'm gonna screw everything by hand. Once I get to hand tight, I'm gonna come back here, grab my wrench. I'm gonna pull on the brakes here. I don't know if you guys can see. See, this is the brake for the quill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push the brake down, and then I can go over there and I can get it hand tight. Good? Just a little bit because we're gonna have to take it off later. So let me adjust so you guys can see the DRO there too. All right. So now I'm gonna have to bring my block up to here, right? So I have my Z adjustment. I have my Z adjustment here, right? So I'm gonna have to go all the way up with my block so my block gets there. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna position, so this is hovering, see, it's not hitting. But I know that once I hit, I'm just gonna take a little bit of the corner there, right? So, so I'm gonna start my machine, but before I start, I wanna make sure of a few things. So this is my quill that I can advance or return. I wanna make sure that the quill advancement lock is locked. So it's not gonna actually bump back and forth when I'm cutting, right? The next thing that I wanna adjust is that my gear is correct. So we're gonna be running at 2000 RPMs. So to run at 2000 RPMs, I have to be in high, right? So I wanna make sure it's in high there. So once I start my machine, so I'm gonna start forward. Now, if I had to change my speed, I can adjust my speed right here. But we already at 2000, so we're good. So I'm gonna go up with my lever here, and I'm gonna go slow. So I remove the least amount of material, right? So I'm gonna go up to, we hear it scratching, right? So now what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm gonna take a full pass over it. All right. All right, we're gonna turn it off because we're gonna reach for the piece. So I want to look on top and see if there's any part that I didn't touch when I actually cut the first time, right? So if there wasn't, if let's say I cut the back but not the front, that means that most likely my piece is not even, which is common the first time that I do it. So then you just have to lower or raise your piece a little bit. So now you can take a full pass and you can actually take a full face there, okay? But for us now, we can look here and we actually face the whole piece, right? So we're fine. So now we already did the facing, right? So now what we're gonna do is actually remove the tool so we actually can install the end mill that we're gonna use, right? So I'm gonna go back here, get my wrench, go up there. I have to pull on my brakes here, and I'm gonna go unlock it. So my tool gets really tight with the mating part inside of the quill. So sometimes it gets kind of stuck in there. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna push my tool up, and I'm gonna unscrew by hand on top. See how my tool lowered? Sometimes the tool is not gonna lower. So what I do is actually I grab my wrench like this and I just do a little hit tick. So just it drops, right? So I'm gonna go up with my hand and I'm gonna unscrew by hand the drawbar from the top, right? So that's what I'm doing now. There are a lot of threads, so unscrewing by hand is actually the most efficient way. So that's my tool coming out. Okay, so if we look in our drawing, we're gonna have the 1/2 inch gap there. So I just have to use whatever is the tool that'll give me the 1/2 inch there, right? And this is the distance from the edge there. But because I'm gonna use the 1/2 inch tool to make the groove, I can also use the 1/2 inch tool to actually do the side milling on the side. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna get my 1/2 inch end mill, and I'm gonna get my collet. Remember, we have to make sure that it actually fits in flush, right? So it's the correct collet to use. I'm gonna put my wrench back here just so I have to hold. for now. I'm gonna push my collet up, just like I put in my flywheel. I'm gonna screw my drawbar all the way. Okay, hand tight. I'm gonna get my wrench again. Put it on top. Push down the drawbar on the brake. Get it tight. Wrench back. All right. So now I'm gonna position it again for side milling. There's a video that shows side milling alone, but so we have to make sure that my tool can go all the way on my piece there. I'm gonna go a little bit to the back. All right. So I'm gonna turn on my machine. Now I'm gonna start moving my X. I'm gonna approach. We're gonna go very slow now because it's pretty close. So as soon as I touch on it, what I do is I move my cutter to the back and I go a little bit more, and then I can lock my my X, and then I'm gonna take a full pass. Remember that I do my pass from the back moving forward. So we actually, when we're cutting, our cutting edges, they actually dig into my piece and then cut going backwards. Otherwise, if we're going from the front to the back, it would actually grab from the bottom and rip through the top, which will give like a worse finish. So you just have to remember, if we're side milling on this side, we're gonna be rotating like this. We wanna move from the back to the front, right? So we shoot our shavings back, right? Okay, so just like the top, I have to make sure that my whole side here is actually faced, right? So now I'm done with the top and I'm done with the right side of the piece. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove, right? Because we're done with this part. Right now, it doesn't matter if I measure because the other side is not faced yet. See? So I side mill the top and I side mill this one side, right? But if I measure now, it doesn't matter because actually I still have to side mill this side because it's not flat yet. So I turn it around. Again, I have to make sure there's no shavings in between my piece and the parallel plates. I'm gonna again have my piece sticking out to the side a little bit. I'm gonna push it down by hand. Lock it. I'm gonna check if my parallel plates, if they can go up and down. If they can go up and down, I'm gonna pull it to the side here. I'm gonna grab my rubber mallet and go. All right, so now there's no gap. There's no gap between my piece and the parallel plate. Okay. Go back. I'm gonna use the same process to actually side mill that side, right? I'm gonna go towards the back. All right, so I'm gonna again turn on. I'm gonna approach. Once I'm close, I'm gonna go very slow. Well, once I touch, I'm gonna make my tool go back. I'm gonna move my block forward a little bit more. And now I can lock my X. See, I'm gonna lock my X with those two dogs there. And now I can take a full pass again. Okay. Stop my machine because we're gonna reach in there. So I'm gonna evaluate to see if my whole side here is finished. If it is, now I have the opposite side and this side finished. So I can actually grab my calipers here. I'm gonna reach in there because I could pull my piece out to actually take the measurement, but then that'll make me waste time. So I'm not gonna move around my X, Y, and Z. Actually, I can move my Y to the back so I can get a little bit more space. I'm gonna measure. I have 1972, right? I have 1972. Let's see here. I can do some math right on the. All right, so I measured over here where it should be 195. I have 1972, right? My goal is 1950, and I have plus or minus 10,000, so like 1960 and then 1940, right? So let's say we're gonna aim at 1950. We always have to have a target. So we can do for the math, 1950. That means I have to move 22 thousandths, right? 22 thousandths, it's already not much. But like if I would have to remove, let's say I would have to remove 100 thousandths or 75 thousandths. You would want to actually split that into like more than one pass, right? So I would say 90, I would split between 90 and 10, right? So let's split this one into two passes. So let's say I'm gonna take 15 and 7, right? So right now, let me go all the way back, because again, I always wanna cut from the back coming forward. I'm gonna go all the way back. So now, as you saw, this was my last pass, right? So if I zeroed my X, can you see my X there? If I zero my X, I can use my X as a ruler to go in how much? The 15,000 that I want to go. So I want to put 15,000s there, okay? So I'm going to go back. I'm going to unlock my X here. And I'm going to go in 15,000s. All right. I'm going to lock my X. Okay. Now I can turn on. Take a pass. All right. So let's see. I was at 1972 and I removed, let's say 16 thousandths, right? So where should I be now? So let's see, this is gonna be 6, this is gonna be 6, that's gonna be 5. So 1956, I should be at 1956. However, I shouldn't be happy with this number. I should want to do what? I should want to measure, right? So I'm gonna go back in there. All right, I have 1955. 1955, right? So let's say I'd have to take another pass. I'll bring it all the way back, right? So This was the last position that I had, so that's right on the surface. So what would I want to do? So I can measure the 5 thousandths that are gonna remove next. I can zero my X again, right? Because I'm gonna use that as a ruler. I can go in, so I'm gonna have to unlock my X. I'm gonna go in 5 thousandths. All right, it's locked. Okay, now I can turn on, take a pass. So this will be my finishing pass, right? Make sure whenever you turn on and off, you only go to stop. You don't want to go reverse all the way, right? Because that doesn't do well to the machine, right? So be careful when handling stuff right here, because we have a lot of sharp edges. Anything that you hit there is actually going to give you a cut on the hand or something. All right, so I'm at 1958, 1948, 1951. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm within tolerance between 1940 and 1960 along my whole piece, right? So now what we have to do here, so right now, let's see. Right now we are done. Right now we're done with this. We had already faced this side. Now I want to make sure I understand how I'm going to do this, right? So right now I just faced this side. Okay? So if I have a 1/2 inch end mill and I want to move my cutter all the way there, so what if I move 0.7, right, with my piece? So the center is here, and I move 0.7. I'm gonna have my cutter right there. So to be able to move it all the way there, what do I have to move? I have to move, so I need to get this side and put it right there. So how much do I have to move? I have to move my dimension plus my diameter, right? So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna lower my block because now we're gonna cut from the top of the groove, right? Let's look at our DRO here. This was my last position, which was the surface, right? So the surface is right there. We're lined up. So I'm gonna zero that, because if I have to move my dimension, which is 0.7, plus the diameter of my end mill that I'm using, that's 0.5, I have to move 0.7 plus 0.5, which gives me 1 inch 200 thousandths, right? So that's how much I'm gonna move right there. So I'm gonna unlock my X, and I'm gonna go 1 inch. So whenever I'm actually moving a lot, I can use the handle. But once I get closer here, then now I'm gonna start using just a little bit, just gonna grab on the wheel there pretty much, so I can actually have better control, right? So, all right, I'm gonna lock. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm hovering here, so I'm gonna lower my piece. I'm gonna move to the back. Now it doesn't matter if I'm cutting that way or this way, because I'm making the first groove, right? So I want to make sure I'm actually hovering there on the back. I'm gonna turn it on. I gotta go up with my piece until I hear a sound. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna zero exactly where I'm gonna cut. Otherwise, I'm gonna leave like some damage into my piece there, right? All right, so that's my 0 in height, right? I'm gonna go 0 right there, move to the back. So I have to cut what? I have to cut 80 thousandths, right? So let's say I'm gonna take 75 on the first pass, right? So I'm gonna go up 75. All right, so one good thing to do is now that I'm in the correct spot there, I'm gonna get this out of the way so it's not engaged anymore, see? So even if I bump it, it's not gonna get me out of position there, okay? So now I'm gonna take a pass cutting forward. Remember that my X I'm not gonna move, right? I'm exactly where I wanna be. So I'm just gonna take a pass coming forward. All right. Okay. I'm gonna turn it off. Okay. After I take a cut, what do we always want to do? We want to take a measurement, right? But instead of just going for the measurement right away, I want to deburr this corner a little bit. Why? Because I don't want I don't want to have anything push. I don't want having any burrs on the top of my piece here. Otherwise, it's gonna throw off my measurement with my caliper. So when we're measuring the outside dimension, we use the outside jaws, right? So whenever we measure a gap, we can use the inside jaws like that. So I'm gonna measure the inside jaws. With the inside jaws, I have 0.05, which is to expect, right? Because my tool is actually 0.5, but like as I told you guys in class, there's some vibration, so you end up cutting a little bit more, but still like within my range. Okay, so now I measure my outside, I measure my gap there, my inside, and now I can measure, I'm gonna move it forward, and I can measure my depth with the depth sticks here. So I'm gonna just touch both sides, and I'm gonna lower, so as I open my caliper, I stick this tongue out. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put it right there, and then let me close and make sure it's zeroed. Push it down until I touch. Let's see, I'm actually 0.825. So I took 76, and my idea was actually to take another 4. But right now when I measured here, I kind of think that I already have 0.82, right? 0.77, right? We want to measure again just to make sure we're within the range, so we don't actually take more and then we're out of spec, right? Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna deburr this corner a little bit. So I'm just running this right on the edge here so I can make sure there's nothing sticking up. I can use my deburring tool too, just like in this position. That's what I think would work best. See, like a 0.78. Okay, I could just run again. What if I want to remove 2 thousandths? I would actually go 0 my Z. I would move 2 thousandths up, right? I'm gonna disengage my X, my Z, so like if I bump it doesn't do anything. And then I can go, All right, so that's the whole operation right there. All right, remember a few things. Use the correct parallel plates. Make sure you seat your piece correctly there. Make sure you choose the correct position that's going to give you more efficiency on your process, right? In our case, we have it's sticking out that way a little bit. When installing the tool, make sure you use the correct collet for the correct end mill. We don't have that problem with the flywheel. Make sure you get it tight. Don't leave your wrench up there, otherwise the wrench can go flying once you turn it on, or it can hit the motor case, right? Make sure your quill displacement here is actually locked, right? That we're in high gear using the correct speed, right? And then pretty much you're gonna follow the same steps that I did. But I wanted to write your step by step, follow your own process. You can always come back to this video and recall what I did, but this is exactly what we're gonna do, and this is exactly what we're gonna have. So pretty much exercise 1 and 2 are gonna be all about this, right? So this was my exercise number 1. These are exercise number 2. And then the last thing that we're gonna do for us is actually, I'm gonna add to the drawing. So let me adjust your height here quick. We're gonna come back here to our piece. We will actually deburr, so we make sure it's actually sitting flat against my flat block there. We're gonna adjust this so my needle, it's actually just gonna touch the top. And as I move it around, let me show you quick. So as I move it around, my needle can only move so much, right? If my top is like this, is at an angle, I'm gonna be able to see here, right? Right now, what's all this this is from actually, whenever my cutter is rotating, there's a little bit of material that gets stuck there. So actually, you can even see the lines right there. So whatever you can see, you can actually feel, right? Not by hand, but like with the, it's 1/1000s or 2/1000s. All right. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys do well with it.